Welcome back, everybody. The Warlord of SBAS plays Torment, Tides in Numenera. Episode 15. Last time we finished off in at the government square, talking to the council clerk and just generally exploring. This time we're going to talk to one of my favorite people.
Dawdle and delay. I thought you were on a mission.
It was, but you're talking. Last time I told you we were going to talk to one of my favorite people to talk to, and that's Nerf. Let's go talk to Nerf. Slouched before you is a figure clad in dusty, unremarkable robes. Loose folds of rough cloth shift to reveal a vaguely humanoid form, with elongated facial features and two elaborate biomechanical arms. You can't help but notice the size, the shape, and even the number of digits, changing as it tinkers with a bizarre-looking device on the table. He glances up at you. His eyes are the size of your palms. You realize it is a visitant, a being from another world. Greetings, fellow sentient. It says not with us. Actually, considering what I know about him, I'm going to give him a little different voice. Greetings, fellow sentient. It says, nodding with a studious respect. I'll be with you in a moment. Mechanical fingers contract and dance independently over the surface of the device before adjusting and tightening. Where I am Snarf, guest of Order of Truth. What brings you to my workshop? Tell me about yourself. Your curiosity honors me. It says, inclining its head. I came through the bloom from another world. To be absolutely honest, I was exiled for. I was exiled for inadvertent sacrilege and perversions. How do you accidentally commit sacrilege? I would imagine that you're curious about my people's reproductive process at this point. He has placidly. I would happily describe them. That's right, people. This guy's entire study is sexual habits of different species. That's what we're going to talk about today. I wasn't, but that sounds like an interesting topic. It is, Snarf says brightly, though it is from the most esoteric method I've uncovered in my studies. It is a rather complicated topic, however, so let me know when you're ready to speak out at length. I'm ready to hear about your people's method of procreation. Deprived of the layers of sociological complexity, the process is quite simple. The visitant says, at a certain age, my people are ceremonially choose a limb to remove. The limb is grown into a new being. Children, in our terminology, it says, this is where matters get more complicated. The selected part relegates the child to a caste. Armed children become laborers, leg children become warriors, and head children, due to the sacrifice implied in their creation, become leaders. Snarf studies his middle hands. As I've suggested, the limbs we surrendered do not grow back. In fact, those who replace their limbs insult their children and sin against their people. This is where your biomechanical arms come in, I'd imagine. You are correct. It says, unfortunately, I surrendered my arms to create my children. It says they grew to maturity and joined me in my study of various void-born Numenera. For a time we were happy. It lowers its eyes. Then I discovered a melted humanoid figurine. I did more than glance at its folded arms before it opened its eyes. That is the last thing I remember. I woke with my arms you do not see now, Snarf says. My children think I had disowned them. Disowned me, and my people were even less merciful. I'm sorry that happened to you. Your sympathy is appreciated but not warranted, the visitor says. It is avoiding your eyes. I have found other ways to take my mind off the loss of my family and my people since. It was only when I began visiting other worlds that I learned that most species do not reproduce by severing their limbs. Sarasnet said, shaking his head. The discovery fascinated me, and so I began cataloging the various methods of procreation found throughout the void. It was only found when I found my way to Sid Cliffs by the way of the bloom that was offered a place to work here in the Order of Truth. And there you have it, if it says, holding its mechanical arms. What's that device you're working on? A minor project of mine, it says with a self-deprecated wave, something to widen the boundaries of my research. It scans for unknown reproductive processes and displays them for further study. The device clicks it to its self. Snarf says, watch. A transparent image of two goat-headed humanoids appears over the device. At first it seems they are wrestling each other after when you realize your mistake. Coupling merger fascinating. He begins taking careful angular notes in unfamiliar language on the scroll beside the device. There's quite a lot of motion involved, isn't there? You're gonna be rich. What? No, the visitor says the device itself will not be for sale. I'm writing a book, however. Well, it might make you rich too. I didn't quite catch your name. How do you pronounce it? He says, you're hearing a brief... I know that's that, but I can't... Elysian? In my name. Correct. A majority of the component symbols are untranslatable or beyond human range of hearing. I will try to approximate them. He draws a deep breath. Snalanerga, with a brief one about the ambient temperature of the dust in the moonlit here. Gonthos, the world that describes the color similar to blue. Ramalarf. He shrugs. I prefer the name of the people here. My name is all too common where I come from. Yeah, I like Snarf. Snarf. Alright. Tell me about one of the reproductive processes you find so fascinating. Calerials, though they are brutal creatures formed from organic and inorganic substances, they do share certain characteristics with my people. They do not have genders and reproduce by expelling an organic mass deep into moist, fertile soil. The mass eventually grows into an autonomous being. The effect it has on nearby sentient life forms is truly fascinating. Fascinating. For the survivors, anyway. You ever make it with a Nevagene? Asked Tiber. I think you misunderstood, Snarf says severely. I don't engage in intercourse with the various creatures I study. I did once. They were confused eerily, as if Snarf hadn't replied. At least I think I did. Both of us were very drunk. Tell me some other reproductive processes you find fascinating. Flesh pups or skin swimmers are particularly interesting. If somewhat gruesome, the tiny parent painfully invades a host organism who does not notice the parasite until a painful rigid swelling appears on the torso or neck. Once the host is drained of nutrients, the boil bursts, releasing glistening fluid in newborn pups. We should retreat, Iris hisses in your ear. This visitate is filling my head with unwelcome images. Yeah. No, let's continue. More! Zyomarchy, also called rock blooms, fill their prey with venomous stingers and plant their fertilized eggs directly into the corpse. In little more than a week, their children are born thrusting up through the decaying, yielding flesh like flowers in bloom. Will we be here much longer, dear? Daylight is waning after all. No, it's not. I apologize. Is this topic making you uncomfortable? Nope. Don't be ridiculous, Calista says. It's simply that I despise lectures without visual aids. Me too. More? The human method is particularly fascinating and intricate. It involves trails of, oh, I beg your pardon. No. Please, do go on. Really? The visitate says, surprised. Is this your first time hearing about human sexual reproduction? Assuming it is, go on. I am listening. Gladly, the visitate says, human sexual reproduction at the simplest level requires genetic material from all the partners, which can range from 2 to 29. At the beginning of the ritual, the partner often remove their clothes, masks, and expensive shoes to reveal their flesh to other members and any watching deities. Pardon me, but are you all right? I'm listening. I'm listening. Go on. Oh, right there. Of course, as I was... Oop, sorry about that. Of course, as I was saying, once the clothing and accessories have been successfully discarded, intercourse can begin. With a mighty cry, the dominant participant exposes their abdomen, and all members of the coital cluster prepare themselves for supreme pleasure. The visitate frowns. I have inadequate information on the next portion, but I am told the penetration occurs, much as it were, somewhat vague on what was penetrating what. At any rate, once all the partners are satisfied, they conclude their sexual act with a firm handshake. Starveling said, between the two of us, I believe the most of the information was fabricated as a joke at my expense. Fortunately, I have been invited to observe a human mating ritual next week. I look forward to adjusting my data. I wonder if I am expected to wear expensive shoes as well. I shall make a note to ask. Next week, Tyra says, perking up. I'm going to that one too. I'll keep you an eye out for you. He hesitates that with then grins. Unless I'm blindfolded, of course. You'll have to find some other way to let me know you're there. I shall endeavor to do so, the visitant says politely, making a note on his pad. How do I get invited to this ritual? No idea, he said cheerfully. Couldn't even tell you how I got invited to the first one. And that was months ago, but I'll try to whisper your name to the writers at the... He makes right time. Visitate straightens. I am delighted to have assisted you in finding mating I am delighted to have assisted you in finding mating partners. It says comment. Is there anything else you wish to discuss? I believe that's all once he talks to... Yeah. Those arms of yours are interns. How do they function? I'm not quite sure, he says, raising them from for your inspection. Extra digits whirl out of the mechanical palms and swing in somewhat nauseating waves of despair and disappear just as quickly. They seem to be as sentient either of us, but they seem to be sentient, as sentient as either of us, but obedient as long as I keep them busy. Otherwise, they scramble about while I rest, touching things, picking locks, strangling the odd rodent. The visitate says, I force them to take up knitting. Alright. Oh. I'm just talking to this guy as much as I love him. Alright. Lan Uring. Hello, Lan Uring. The thin young man smiles hesitantly as you approach. He notices a small metallic ovoid protruding from his skull, nearly hidden by his disheveled hair. The fingers on his left hand tap nervously on his leg as he speaks. I'm not a real priest yet, he blurts and blushes. Yeah, that's what you were thinking. Usually visitors only talk to me because they think I'm a priest. But I'm still enough. He looks at a threadbare spot on his robes. What is that implant in your head? It's not just on my forehead, he says. Not just the skin, I mean. It's bound with my skull. He blinks at you for a few times before you realize he hasn't answered your question. It keeps me awake and alert. I don't get tired until it runs out of power. What power is it? Dreams, he says. The scarier ones, the better. I can't remember the last time I had a good dream, actually. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, though. What's your area of study? What he says, blinking, straightening. You want to know what I'm working on? Are you sure? No, fuck you. Yeah, sure. I'm designing an intelligence, he says, but not the normal kind. None of them just metal or with a dependent intelligence rigging system. No, it's a larger than that, stronger. Lan himself seems to be getting stronger, rising as he speaks. Yeah, I didn't notice before, but you hadn't noticed before, but he is actually taller than you. He's a lanky motherfucker. The idea is this: the intelligence that you can find, test, identify, and fully understand Numenera. We can unlock the shakers of lost civilizations. His eyes are glowing now, and he raises a trembling fist. Do you understand? If we do this, we can break the chains binding us to the past. We turn them into reins with which we steer the future. That seems useful. No one would get hurt you testing Numenera on themselves anymore. Oh, he says, dropping his righteous fist clearly. This benefit has never occurred to him. Of course. A fervent gleam slowly fades from his eyes. It is only a theory, though, for now. I don't have the funding, not yet, but I've been studying the machine that with Min when he can spare the time, and he likes my ideas, even if he thinks they're impossible. He looks away. I think he's disappointed I'm not a real Aeon priest yet. I should have the money by now. I was told they'd keep paying me even after the first time. Sounds like Min is being too kind to you. I know, he says, bobbing his head. But I'll make it up to him, all of it. He winks at his own words. Once I'm an Aeon priest, everything will change. Only a full Aeon priest have access to the Order's funds. I can use them to build a full prototype. Min might protest, but he'll understand once I get the design right. He licks his lips. They're dry, almost leathery. I just need to get I just need to get it right, that's all. What do you need to become an Aeon priest? You have to make a major discovery, he says. A mystery that's remained unsolved for a long time. But I've spent too much time on my own research. He looks down at his feet. I haven't gotten anywhere. I'll tell you about something I discovered. You can claim it as your own, become an Aeon priest. You will, he says, blood draining from his face. Is that allowed? You're devoted to research. Look at this interesting colleague supporting your. Look at this as an interested colleague supporting your studies. He flushes so deeply that it's a wonder that his clothes don't burst into flames. Thank you, he whispers. I'm ready. What discovery have you made? What sort of discoveries will help you? Really major ones, he says, looking frustrated. They cause the causes of a long-standing problems in the city. For example, are solving mystery that's remained unexplained for a long, long time. When I find something useful, I'll let you know. Oh, he says, I'm alright. Alright. Now I'm talking to him.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. These two people take a long time, so let's go explore the shop.
Absolutely.
What's this? A small wireframe pyramid sits on the base polished wood. Lying inside the pyramid is a dull sphere of chivalrous metal. I examine the sphere. Suspended in its large case, the sphere is almost perfectly sized to fit your palm. The gaps in the wire mesh are large enough for you to reach through, but not large enough to pull the sphere out. Examine the frame. The frame appears to be fixed firmly in place. It's constructed of an organic material grown in a manner similar to bone or coral. Thinner vein-like strands of the material went across each of the triangular sides. Something strikes you as odd about it, but you can't quite determine why. Perception. Try to discover what seems to odd about the frame. Is anyone else better at perception? Pretty good. Really good. So you. Success. While examining the frame, you try nudging it gently, and it shifts in a most peculiar manner. Focus on moving the frame in various directions and discover that it can be easily lifted straight up off the base and lowered back down and onto it. But it refused to move laterally, even while being held in the midair. Examine the base. The base appears to be made from the slab of Lord Red Stone. In enclosure inspection, you recognize it as petrified wood of some kind. An inscription has been written on the base in front of the pyramid. Examine the inscription. The inscription on the alien language is an alien language. It has been burned into the wood and then filled with a luminescent substance. Though you know you haven't seen the language in your own short life, as a cast up, it still seems familiar. Try to recall where you've seen the language before. Yeah, sure. Sweet. A distant memory surfaces and you're standing before the large metal cylinder that looms a meter and two above your head. The cylinder is a time capsule of sorts, and you're convinced that what lies within is critical to your latest experiments. The problem, alas, is that your capsule is locked, and the only clue to opening is a series of strange glyphs etched into its sides. Glancing around, you see dusted tones, faded banners, and metal scraps. Dozens of the other objects are featuring the same strange glyphs. You spend a lot of time collecting every trace of this language that you can find to code the study. And the code of study have finally led you out to the moment you look upon the glyphs and you know their meaning. Stepping forward, you reach toward the cylinder inscribed by the etching, and it flares to your life. Shaking off the mirror, you look down at the description. You realize its meaning now clear. The crimson dawn greets the seeker. Violet dust sees the search end. Touch the sphere. As you extend your hand toward the sphere, the thinner strands along the front side of the cage retract toward the thicker frame edges, creating an opening large enough for the sphere to fit it through. Takes the sphere. You pull the sphere out of the frame through the opening facing you, and it immediately begins to glow as scintillating blue. You pause a moment to make sure that you're no other effects, then you try to put it with the rest of your belongings, and at some point during the motion the sphere simply vanishes, only to appear from a frame once again in dull worry. Apparently taking the sphere will not be quite so easy. Take the sphere again? You pull the sphere out again, and once again it glows a brilliant blue. Before disappearing and returning it to the frame, after a little experimentation, you discover that the sphere's position seems to reset whenever it moves beyond a particular distance from the device. As long as you keep it within the distance as you are now, you can hold it onto it. Put the sphere back in the frame. As you place the sphere back in the frame, it changes to a vibrant orange color. It occurs to you that the sphere seems to respond to moving through the frame boundaries. Perhaps moving it through the other sides will reproduce additional results. Take entire device with me. No, device is far too bulky to carry around with you. As if reading your thoughts, Min looks over and shakes his head sadly, while muttering something under his breath. This one? Sphere glows changed to a lurid red. This one. Orange. This one. Orange again. Green. Yellow. Violet. As you step away, the device or sphere appears immediately appearing within the giant frame. Alright.
I'm going.
When I was playtesting, I actually found out what this is. But if you don't want this ruined, I suggest you skip ahead or end the episode now, because it's actually pretty simple once you figure it out. Actually, considering the time, I'll do it then in the beginning of the next episode. Sorry about that. Leave the device alone right now. So until next time, remember to embrace the chaos, or you'll go mad. Bye.